Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with Leaders Voice Chat Show, and I have two beautiful ladies with me, Mary Bauer and Kristine Kieland. Thank you for joining me. Kristine is an intuitive healer and consciousness mentor, and Mary is also an energy intuitive and life coach. Both are authors of multiple books, and they take sessions and workshops, and they help everyone heal and become better. They guide everyone for their best. So today we are also going to review one of their latest published book, A Clear Understanding of the Unthinkable. Thank you, Kristine. Thank you, Mary, for joining.
Oh, sweet. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Great. So it's a book I know with around 170 pages, and it's recently been published this year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, came out in April.
Great. So it also, the subtitle is What Those Who Died by Suicide Want You to Know. Quite a sensitive topic, but I know we have a lot of learning here. So we'll start with that. Please tell us about this book. We'll start with Kristine.
Okay, well, this is, Mary and I are both intuitives. And so we work with people in and out of the physical body, work with all different realms and all different dimensions, and, everything's energy. And we have been looking in personal lives and private practice, the seemingly increase in suicide and the increase in people despondent and not having the will to live. So we actually we asked, what can we do to help? And I'll let Mary pick it up because they first came to her. And,
oh, great.
It's a conversation, and we picked it up from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary, please tell us about this book.
Well, I was just kind of just puttering in my garden. I like to garden, and I wasn't thinking anything. That's how everything just drops in. And as I was planting some flowers, I heard somebody standing, like they're standing right next to me. And he said, I'm ready to tell my story now. I'm ready to tell you how I died by suicide. And I knew immediately it was an acquaintance of mine. I had known his mother for many, many years, but I'd only met him a couple of times. And I totally forgot that he had passed by suicide. And it had been over 20 years. And I said, well, what's different about right now? And he said, well, my mother has passed now, which was true. And I was so excited. He said, there's so many here that want to tell their stories. We have something to share with humanity. And I got so excited. My hands were just filthy dirty. And I just ran in the house, and without even thinking a thing, I called up Kristine and I said, we have to do this. We have to do this. And my friend came, and she was with her family at the time, and she said, of course. And we found time. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we just listened every week to the different souls, the different personalities that came through with their stories. And two things that became very prominent and very present in the book is that everything's done from love. Everything's done from the highest vibration of love, from maybe not the personality, aspect of the soul, but the soul, and that we consider it tragedy, and it is traumatic, but it's truly just another way out of the body, just as we have many ways into the body. There's lots you can go through IVF, you can go through, conceived in love, conceived in confusion, conceived in anger. It's just another way. And there's, the bottom line is just to let everybody know, one, everybody's okay. They understand their soul purpose. There's many reasons why you have the emotions and the desire for a death by suicide. Just like we have many reasons why we have emotions for every other part of our life, and why we have experiences for every part of our life. This book really delves into that. But what would you add to that, Mary? I think this book is just encouraging, inspiring, gives people a lot of hope, but also has a lot of tools and techniques to help you find your own answers, to find your own way of being. And we don't condone. It's not like we're not trying to get people to, it's kind of a fine thing to say suicide's okay, right? But really death is okay.
How is it different from a normal death? And like people take it so badly, like somebody did a suicide, be it any reason, their mental health was affected or some other reason. What is the reality? How is it different?
Can I just go ahead, Mary? It's really not a whole lot. It's really not that different. If you look at the energy of it and the process of it, what's different is we judge the act of suicide, and many people that are having a suicide, that's how they choose a death. They've been judged.
Yes.
So it's not a blaming family or blaming anybody around you or blaming them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't understand, you think it's life's supposed to be a certain way, and you get caught up, and you lose your direction.
Mm-hmm.
So the living and the dying are very similar in that it's a judgment as being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the stories it's Mary's first person too. John, his parents couldn't quite understand that he was different than the brother, and so they judged that, worried about that, worried, and so he started questioning himself, what's wrong with me? He came with a specific soul experience, a specific soul plan, and because we're not that aware, we don't understand why we have these experiences with other, the parents, it's like the heaviness of their love created uncertainty in himself, and then that was the beginning of the ripple effect.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Right. So Mary, how many people are there in the story exactly?
There's 10 stories, 10 chapters. The last one was, we wanted to know a lot more about mass suicide and the culture around that, and also why certain parts of the world seem to be a little bit more prone to war or just a repeat over and over, and there's no peace. And so someone was gracious enough to come and tell us all about how that all got started as well. So that is our last story in the book, to kind of understand the I'm gonna, really the emotions and the process behind what kind of gets caught in the field. It almost becomes like an energy field on itself. And anybody that's in that area, of course, is always in agreement where you live, because you have the opportunity to move. Nowadays, we have the opportunity to move if we want to, but it becomes almost a field of despair if it hasn't been understood by the one that began it, and if it hasn't been understood by the culture or the people of the area and what's really going on. Just like you can walk into a certain space, you can walk into a shop, you can walk into a restaurant, and you have a certain vibe there. You can feel like, oh, what just happened here? It feels like someone had a fight, or it feels, prickly, or something's wrong. Well, there's certain places on the earth that's true as well, where it's just there, but it's there to be understood. It definitely is. So sometimes when you don't understand, it can influence the way you live your life.
Oh, so true. Yeah. Your book has such lovely reviews. I went through the reviews. It was so beautiful, and it has 5/5 rating. So I suggest to all the viewers, please go ahead and get your copy from Amazon, and I think the Kindle version is also available there. Plus, your websites I would like to call out is marymBauer.com and KristineKieland.com. The book also has a website, a clear understanding of the Unthinkable.com. And all the links. Yeah.
And I just want to circle back a little bit. You asked about suicide and how people handle it. And in no way do I want to convey that it's an easy experience.
Yeah.
It is. It's very difficult for people to go through on both sides. And so the reason for writing this book and the reason that these 10 people came through is to help alleviate the pain and the suffering, because, that's really what we're expanding ourselves out of that experience. There's so many experiences to be a human. That's just one. And we kind of get attached to the pain, sorrow, and suffering. And it becomes like such a maze, we can't get out of it. So this book is really, and I'm just, they're all here with us.
Mm-hmm. They're
all here. And they're so grateful for your time and so grateful for your audience. But they want people to know that that is such a limited experience, to stay in sorrow and suffering and judgment. And this world right now, we're at the peak of judging each other, right? Mm-hmm. Judging everything. And so this book, they wanted this book to come out exactly at the time it did. Okay. Because judgment, when you judge yourself, it's so painful. And when you turn that on to someone else, it just expands the pain. So this book will help. All these stories are so unique and so individual. I really think the readers will find themselves in one or more of these stories, in their experiences, their true life experiences. And we were very clear that we didn't change their words. Yeah. We wanted it to be their words. We didn't put it in our bias or anything. Okay. But yeah, they're all here. They're very grateful for your audience and for the time to be together. Yeah.
So how does suicide affect our karmas? Does that happen?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
First of all, just so you understand what karma truly is just life lived. Okay? It's an experience as well. And you have choice in everything. It maybe doesn't feel like it when most of these were just a misunderstanding of a life purpose and a misunderstanding that everything here is for you. It's not happening to you. And in fact, it's part of your life plan. But sometimes it gets so painful when you misunderstand what is, children are very sensitive, and so much of this happens in childhood. And when you're not understood or you're misunderstanding what's happening around you, or children they truly are telepathic and they truly can hear what you're thinking and feel what you're feeling. And so when that happens, and it happens often enough, around the age of 7, they start thinking, their brain starts becoming more adult or human. Before that, they're really more connected. Most of what I'm talking about is scientifically proven that ahead of that, their brain waves are different than once they hit about 7. And once you hit about 7, then you're wanting to fit in. You're wanting to, I guess what I'm seeing and feeling isn't normal, because I keep getting told and I keep hearing this isn't normal and none of my friends are acting like this. And so then that creates a lot of confusion and conflict within the psyche of the person. And if they have someone to help them understand or validate, most of our job, Kristine and my job with children, is validating their feelings and what they know to be true. And then we teach the parents what their children are really capable of, and what the children have been trying to tell them, that a lot of times it's not that they're bad parents in any way. It's just that it wasn't encouraged in their childhood either. So it's what they know.
Okay. So I also wanted to know, how to come out of suicide, and people take it so badly, and how can healing happen for both sides?
Okay. Can I answer an additional part of the karma thing? Because I think people misunderstand karma as it's either a punishment, or if you've done something bad, you have to pay. It's a sin or something like that. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Karma really is, as Mary explained too, but it's also how to understand your life experience. So you may have a repeat experience with different people, different location, or, you may have the opposite end of an experience. for full understanding, but it's never for punishment or that you've done something wrong or that you're less loved by God or the universe by source. It's never, our human conditioning that we're being punished is not correct. Karma is just an expansion, it's an expansion of something. And we really have it so misunderstood. But this book will help clarify that there is no punishment, there's no blame. It just is an experience that's hard to understand. But I just wanted to add that little bit to it.
So,
yeah.
But it said, that karma balancing is required. So maybe you can have a much better lifetime in the next.
It only needs balancing if you don't understand the experience in the physical body. So if you work it through, then there's no reason to have a repeated experience. So and people are really at a consciousness now, some people, where you don't have to have it. You don't have to get out of the body to have a new experience. We're just staying in the body for some. So it's all choice. But it's not necessarily balancing, it's an understanding.
Okay.
What have I participated in? What have I created? Do I need more experience to understand it? Mm-hmm. If you need more experience, you will create another experience, perhaps in a different lifetime. But it's not about you've harmed me, now I'm going to harm you.
No. And
that's just that's an awful loop. That's an awful loop, right?
Yeah. True. So true.
Yeah.
We do know that, and I'm just speaking from my own personal experience here, that as you are given opportunity, you give yourself your own opportunities as well. I mean, it's a co-creation. You're co-creating with everybody. You're co-creating with the source of all. You're co-creating with God, the God essence. Well, you are that. It is living through you. So as you start understanding different parts, and even if we don't go past lives, even though that's very you're capable of doing that as well. But even if you start choosing to look at just, the only way I like to really look at history at all is just if it can help you move forward. Mm-hmm. So I always ask for the experiences, the awareness of what can help my clients move forward. So say it's something in childhood that you don't remember, but you're able to see the choices. And then how, as you are at this stage, how are you choosing something different? Now that can kind of balance, and you're able to see, I stopped this whole ancestral lineage. I'm no longer doing this, even though that's how I was treated or what I learned, but it doesn't seem right to me anymore to do that. It feels in my heart, it feels more this way. So see how you have stopped what we want to call karma by just allowing yourself to experience it and understand it in a different way, something more true to your heart, what feels more right to you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think how you go.
People, yeah. How should people, see it for healing, or see life as a gift, and maybe not do it. To actually die by suicide, to do that. Yeah. For some people, it might be part of soul contract.
For many, it's part of a soul contract.
But
because that may help somebody else with their compassion or with non-judgment or how to redefine love. Sometimes it is a repetitive pattern, and then it's like, you got to hit the button if you're not aware. There's many reasons for living. There's many reasons for how you die and when you die, and who participates in your death. But as you asked earlier about how do you handle when you're a family member, a friend of someone's died by suicide, really stay in the moment. Let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. Don't judge it. You may go through blame or guilt or anger or shame, or do your best to just let yourself feel it until you don't. Some people may need assistance, right? So they don't get stuck in it and they can see the bigger picture. But we have a habit of not allowing ourselves to feel an experience. And then that becomes down the road you have to have another experience. So if we can see it, and it's for somebody who's listening who's experienced a suicide in their family, I understand it can be hard, but if you just see it as this is just one way out of the body.
Yeah.
And it is about ending the sorrow and suffering, and it's really, suicide's a misunderstanding of a life experience. So when you start to understand, even in this tiniest of moments, what is my value of this experience, right? That helps the healing, and to not judge the healing or being right or wrong. And there is a lot of blame on suicide.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to blame yourself, or somebody wants to blame you. Yeah.
Or how could
go through that trauma. Yeah.
How could I have done it? Yeah. How could they do that? How could they do that to me? How could they do that? Or a lot of people are like, how could I not know?
Yeah.
So suicide is not always through depression. It's not always through a long process. Sometimes just like you kind of get into that vibration, I guess, that possibility.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, Chris, I'm going to just, because bringing up some stuff that we were told in the book. So Kristine and I started with, we were seeing what we consider an increase of suicides, and especially younger. And we were really wondering what we could do to help, what we could do to support people to stay in the body. That's really what, and to move on with their life experience in the highest possible way. So that's how it started. That's why we even got the messages to begin with, because we were both really wondering, besides what we were told in session and our own awareness, we were wondering if there was another way, more tools, what else do we need? Because it seemed like it was increasing. But when we actually asked, I think it was John to begin with, it's like, yeah, but this, you're explaining your experience and how you understand it now and what it was all about, but how could we have kept you here? And immediately he said, you are judging. This is coming again from your judgment and your expectation of what an experience has to look like in the human body. And he also gave us wonderful techniques on how to help somebody move through it. So perhaps they didn't have, they wouldn't choose that. The other thing that we have learned over and over, there is a collective energy field. We know that. And suicide is a viable possibility, a viable option for especially our children who are very connected to the energy system to choose. And so that was another thing, when it's no longer a choice, and it's been a choice for millennia. Suicide's not new. We were also told that. It's been around since the beginning of time. Yeah. So when that is no longer a possibility, when we understand our own experience first, and when we understand that first and foremost and what our life is about, we will stop choosing to even think about suicide. Yeah. And so that will no longer be a viable option in the collective energy field. So the children won't be looking for that. Nobody will be looking for that. So it's about how would you most want to be supported if you were having thoughts of suicide. And mostly one of the exercises in the book is to put into the energy field in your own mind, in what you would like to hear if you were so down. Would it be, oh, you poor thing, I feel so bad for you? But it would be more like, I support you, I am strong. If you say that I am, if you say it and you accept it for yourself as I am strong, I have courage, I am supported, I am connected, that person in the collective, it goes directly to the collective as those thoughts. And that person that's looking for support will hear, I am strong, I am supported, I have options. And they will get everything that you wish you would get. They will get that when they're looking for it. And it won't be in the collective of I'm so depressed. I'm ready to move on. I don't want to be here. Because that's the neglected field as well.
Do you feel like it's a lot of suicide cases happen because of bullying or guilt?
It does add to it because those children aren't being seen for who they are, or the adults.
Again, judgment.
So, and the person doing the bullying, in part, see here, it's multiple again. Sometimes it's a soul contract. I don't have any recognition of my own heart and what compassion is. The other person's like, well, let's work together. That what you create is powerful and it has an effect, whether it's thoughts or actions or words or, so there's sometimes it's an agreement and it looks like a really lovely connection, not in the physical, it doesn't look that way. And some of it's like, you don't even see me. How can I be so invisible that I'm not even seen here? And so those souls are like, well, I'll just come back later when I'm seen. But the physical, the personality doesn't understand that, right? And sometimes you get caught in, I don't want anybody to feel my pain. You feel so isolated and so, even the children, so much in their pain, and parents have such expectations, not because they're unloving, but just because that's how we parent. And so the child doesn't want to break the parents. They don't want to hurt the parent. Possibly. So they can't speak, they can't talk. We're learning how to communicate better.
Right.
And then the child sees that as a viable option, right? And it's really just to end an experience. And we're learning how to end an experience and start a new one without the trauma.
So, apart from humans, do you feel plants and animals also have this choice of ending their own life?
Yeah. Yep. They do it differently. They don't do it, from my experience, they don't do it from like suffering necessarily. I had a client years ago and she was really distraught because she'd ran over a rabbit and killed the rabbit. And the rabbit just came in really clear and said, well, I was kind of diseased and I really needed to, it was a quick way for me out of the body, but it was also helping the client understand she was really kind of what she called cold-hearted and hadn't really opened up her heart to other people's suffering. So that was an opening to her that, oh my gosh, now what I do has an effect on others. And so she was able to change the way she presented herself to others. She could listen to people differently. So, we all help each other in different ways. We all have, that's why it's hard to answer sometimes in a very, concise answer, because there's so many different probabilities and possibilities. But what would you say, Mary? I think animals do it differently.
Animals, from what I've seen, I agree with Kristine. I've totally seen that as well. And as a human being, if you run over something, right away you're just, at least for me, I'm just going to
hopefully
I just feel like horrified. Oh no. But it is, their sense of direction and their sense of what's there is so amazing that it's not really accidental, from my viewpoint. And the other thing that I just want to, we are talking about suicide, but there's many ways to die. And so death can look like a long-term illness. And I've seen animals do it that way, because especially the domesticated ones, the ones that are pets. A lot of times they will hold space for you can always tell who they're holding space for in the family. And they will tend to take on the same idea of suffering or the same diseases within their own bodies as their one that they're holding space for. So it's not exactly suicide, but often they will die that same way. And whether it's thyroid or cancer or, like a respiratory, they will do that as well. So animals they are very connected. They don't usually suffer. They have pain. Don't get me wrong. They definitely have pain, but not caught in a time loop. They're not like in the future or in the past. So they're not thinking, oh, my aunt died this way, now I'm going to die this way too. And they're not thinking, oh, I remember having this before, I wonder if this is what's going to happen to me. They're not like that. But I see the more domesticated ones have the most illness. And Chris, you know more.
And actually, in something you said too about past and forward, is that's really where we create our most suffering, and it's a human thing. So, it's just something we're working at. But when we have somebody die by anyway, but suicide especially, oh my gosh, now I can't have this experience with that person, and now they've been robbed of that. Instead of the moment, or you go backwards. So suffering really does come from the expanded timeline. So just a little bit there. And, we're learning how to grieve differently too.
Which all tools do you recommend, and any sessions are coming up which you would like to tell the audience about, which you're considering?
I think Mary's got something ready. I'm working on some classes coming up, and I have things that are local that I'll be doing, but nothing that's online right now. Okay. But I'm always available for session.
Yeah.
Always available for session work. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I want to let all my audience know. If you have any family members suffering and you want help, please contact Mary and Kristine. They're the ones who can guide you better and take you out of that situation.
And the nice thing in a session is your person most likely will come through and offer whatever inspiration, guidance, and healing that they can from their vantage point and from where they're sitting, and that's really healing. So it gives you some guidance and direction, but when you have a face-to-face conversation, so to speak, that really helps.
Right.
Yeah.
Mary, any messages from your side? Upcoming. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It is a subject that is near and dear to our hearts, because we really do want to help people. I fully believe that if we can understand each other and what's happening, and from a different perspective, maybe not quite so close to the heart, but get away from it just a little bit. I think Kristine and I offer that for being a little bit more objective. Definitely connect it to your loved ones and connect it to you. We always ask for the highest and best. We can't read anything that's not there. And our true passion and our true desire is to help on every side and in all realms for everybody to have the best, most expanded experience possible in a way that makes sense to each individual person. And so for that, we do books, we do events. We each will offer events from time to time, usually monthly, we'll do something. And then we do offer our sessions all the time. Every week we both have sessions. And
people can reach out to you both on your websites, right?
On the website, and they can set up a Zoom call, and
So for us, it's really about the deeper awareness and perspective, because the people we talk to on the other side definitely have a common theme is they understand what happened, and they really don't want their people suffering.
No.
They really want them to know they are loved, that they honor and they love the experience, the family they had, or the experience they had with their loved ones, and they have so much appreciation, so much compassion, so much there aren't words that are invented to the depth of their love for the people that participated and helped them have the life experience they had. So they don't want their loved ones suffering. They want their loved ones.
So it's tremendous love.
People need to know that now, also because of so many people who have gone through loss because of COVID. So this helps them. Thank you so much for joining me, Kristine.
Yeah, thank you, honey.
Thank you for
Thank you,
having
sweetie.
Awesome.
Such a pleasure.
Always,
Yeah.
always. So go grab your copy, everyone. It's available on Amazon and Kindle. A Clear Understanding of the Unthinkable. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.